Hey everyone, welcome back to Catholic Pipes. I'm Kadesh Swanson, and I don't know about you, but you've probably been seeing the headlines. A little bit late to the game, but Pope Francis is going to allow the blessing of same-sex couples. Or is he? Let's talk about that. All right, so as you guys may or may not know, there was a dubia sent out to Pope Francis. This is a common thing that happens within the Catholic Church. And a dubia, as you may or may not guess, stems from the word doubt. So it's questions that get proposed to the higher ups in the church, to Pope Francis, where there's might be doctrinal questions, social issues where they need some clarification. And one of them was about the blessing of the same-sex couples, and Pope Francis kind of listed it out in 5 parts. Now, I want to preface this with an understanding that there's 2 issues here. One is, what did Pope Francis actually say? And 2 is, how is it going to be received? And both of those play off each other, and they're very important. Pope Francis is no stranger to controversy, and the controversy always circles around his love of being ambiguous. And sometimes that's great. Sometimes being ambiguous allows you to make your own decisions. And other times it's not, because it can create a gray area. And if you do not have a properly formed conscience, or you're trying to view the church as a student instead of a teacher, there can be some radically terrible outcomes. And this is no exception to the response to the dubia that Pope Francis put out. Now, let's be clear of what was actually being said there. Pope Francis affirmed in his first 2 points that, 1, same-sex unions cannot be blessed, that marriage is an institution. It is ordained by God. It's not an ideal, that the heterosexual couple is not just an ideal, it is the standard. It is what has been divinely revealed to us. 1. 2, he says that any types of blessings or sacramentals that we do can in no way give the appearance that there's an affirmation to same-sex couples. Now, he prefaces with that. Now, if you keep that in mind when you read the rest of his response, you are able to potentially paint a picture in your mind of what the ideal interpretation is, or maybe what he was getting at, which is simply that we can't affirm this, but when people come for a blessing, we have to understand what a blessing's purpose is. When you receive a blessing, it is essentially asking for the help of God to help lead a life that leads you to Christ. All right? And so we can see, obviously, why that would be a little bit of a hiccup if we're trying to bless same-sex couples, because that particular orientation does not align with what has been divinely revealed to us. That's just a matter of blueprint. That's just a matter of comparing it to what's been revealed. So if we understand that, we understand why the blessing wouldn't work, because that particular lifestyle is in contrast to what we've received. So we couldn't technically give a blessing to that, because then the end goal is not getting the people where they need to be, which is in closer union to Christ. However, it does present a unique pastoral opportunity that when somebody comes forward in that particular condition or that particular state, this same-sex couple coming forward to ask for a blessing, what Pope Francis seems to be hinting at is this presents a unique pastoral opportunity to be able to offer some other blessing that would fulfill that end goal of helping them lead a better life. And it's a unique situation, of course. So while that is all well and dandy, and to some extent I do agree, I say yes, I mean, every opportunity should be an opportunity to evangelize, to help people discover their true, unchanging, and eternally good identity within Christ. I think that's beautiful. We should be doing that. We need to evangelize to let people know that, to allow people to see their true identity as a son and daughter of God, made in the image and likeness of God. We have to be careful, though, in terms of how it's being done. And this is where we run into the second issue of how it's going to be received. I had to really tease that out. And I think that that is a perfectly fine and appropriate interpretation of what Pope Francis is saying. However, I had to tease that out. I had to really work through that a little bit to see what the most charitable interpretation is. That's not going to be the everyday person. The everyday person is going to read that and they're going to see the ambiguity. They're going to see the gray. And when they see the gray, they are going to take that as an invitation to do exactly what Pope Francis is warning against or saying cannot happen. They're going to see that as an invitation to somehow be able to bless same-sex unions. So when you see the titles that say that Pope Francis is opening the door to blessing same-sex couples, in some sense, it's a partial truth. On one hand, he has not definitively said that he's going to bless same-sex couples, but the way that he worded it and the ambiguity leads the audience to believe that that is exactly what he's saying, and therein lies the problem. We need clarity. We need clarification. We need sometimes a simple yes or no and then an explanation. We need there to be clarity so we can move forward with confidence in what the church has handed on to us. So, on one hand, if we want to charitably interpret what Pope Francis is saying, and this potentially might be exactly what he's saying, is that this allows for a unique pastoral opportunity to minister to these particular individuals. But on the flip side, we cannot deny the reality that the ambiguity is what is going to open the floodgate to priests and bishops trying to find ways to bless same-sex couples. So, be warned. Understand, read the reply to the dubia yourself. You'll be able to kind of see what I'm talking about there, but you'll also see on the flip side that this is not specific enough and that it will open the doors. So, always do your best to interpret things charitably, but at the same time too, it's okay to be suspicious, and it is okay to have the opinion that maybe the response that the Pope gave may have been imprudent. But that does not mean that we need to abandon our leader, but rather stick by, knowing that the church will always be there, that there is a promise from Christ that says that the gates of hell will never prevail against his church. So we can take confidence in the words of Jesus Christ, that the church will remain steadfast and moving forward, knowing that the Pope can never formally bind us to heresy. But that does not mean that he can have imprudent judgment or a terrible opinion on certain matters. This is Kadesh with Catholic Pipes, and I hope you enjoyed this this topic. And if you have any agreements or disagreements, please put them in the comment section. How did you interpret it? Can you see both sides, or are we doomed? Talk to you guys next time.